How to build the Middle Ages from scratch. Late city. First, be sure to personally serve your city. Pick a suitable name. Let it spread across the continent. Immortalize. I'm going to give you a couple of names for cities. For your reference, the first is the early indigenous people who originated here. For example, a central city in the Romagna region of northern Italy. Welfare. The name is derived from Latin during the Roman Republic. The name means land of the Livia clan. That's the indigenous land here. The second one is named after the great ruler. For example, the famous Constantinople, once a Thracian settlement. Legs. Later, the Greeks established Byzantium here. Roman Emperor Military Constantine. After I rebuilt Byzantium, bring this great city, named Military Tannenberg after himself. The third is based on early signs of the area, naming of buildings or natural landforms. For example, Bruges in the D region, probably derived from the Old Dutch Bridge, and York in England is the meaning of the word mountain number. The fourth kind is derived from some likes, beautiful or beautiful words. For example, the beautiful words in the German region, just tossing and turning, derived from the Latin word for great. The famous art capital of Florence. It means blooming, convey good luck. Of course, these are just a few typical examples. Linda can break the rules. Choose the name of the city according to your preference. So, have you decided what the city is called? If there is no good idea for the time being, let's call him the Centaur City of Santa Carlos. Here we go. You can design an article for your city. He will show the ruler of the city. That is your family origin. It can also represent the spirit and will of the city, or more connotations. There are numerous imperial-owned cities in Germany. They all have their own articles. A large part of them use pattern of voice of the empire. The German military power was strong in the 12th century. For hundreds of years thereafter, some cities rely on their economic status, gradually from monarchs and various, who got a certain degree of autonomy, called an imperial city, directly responsible to Emperor Shinra. Some even break away from the jurisdiction of the parish. They are called free cities, the merger of the two in the 15th century, collectively known as the imperial free cities. These cities are directly loyal to Emperor Shinra. Therefore, the voice of the empire pattern is often used in the articles. The Western mock of 1605. Of the 50 for imperial free cities, 28 have adopted the British as their historical emblem. 51.8% such as Aachen, Frankfurt, Wesler et al. City articles in Milan, mainly adopted by its ruling family. The serpentine pattern of the Visconti family. And when the city is one article, it will also be changed according to the ruling family. In the article on the Polish city of Wrocław, adopted the city's conservation map, image of John the Giver. The main body of the article in Paris consists of a ship, marks the importance of shipping to the city. This pattern first appeared in the early 13th century, beginning in the 14th century, and he was working on the cover story of the city, and at the top, added blue background round tail. The flower is a representative French article pattern. So what yuan would you put? Is it used in city articles? It is based on your family's articles. Highlight your greatness. It is still based on the characteristics of the city. Highlight the urban spirit. Or use other. What about patterns with special significance? Of course, yeah. There are various ways to divide hidden articles. You can combine multiple intentions into one. In one article, if there is no good idea for the time being, I can provide you with an article temporarily. When you attend the grand ceremony of the city's inauguration, this article will become the brightest star. At such a grand ceremony, your majestic image is also crucial. You can wear wool, clothing and courtesy made of silk and velvet. Show luxury. These rich fabrics are derived from bustling urban trade. Silk, transport from the Far East to military Tannenberg, along the Mediterranean. It reached the city-states of Italy. Velvet comes from Florence and Venice. The wool comes from England and Burgenland. Next we will focus on the location of cities. In the medieval late street Renaissance, the city is the commercial center of the region, so it's very convenient. It is one of the most important factors in city location selection, of which shipping Inland waterways are the three main modes of transportation. Therefore, the cities of this era can be roughly divided into ports, caochang, river cities, and land transportation throat cities. Harbor cities and river port cities account for a relatively large proportion. Of course, many waterborne cities are themselves landmasses, hub of land transportation. In addition, there are also some cities that emerged because of their special status. City 3 education. The Holy Land of Jerusalem is a prime example. Nablo, Italy. Sri Lanka is a typical seaport city. It is located in southern Italy. Bay of Nablus on the west coast. The city is built along the southwest coastline. Is the Mediterranean Sea, an important port city in transportation. And Paris is a typical inland river. Shipping city. The Seine River flows through the center of the city. West Belt Island in the center of the river. It was Paris for a long time. Religious and administrative center. The famous Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris is located on this river. Bruges on Middle Island is special. It was located in the northern part of the Hanseatic League and the southern trade route. Strategic location. Therefore, the Hanseatic League built a transportation hub in Bruges. Bruges, near the port, but cities that are not built directly on ports, mainly relying on tides and canals, connected to maritime transportation lines. Therefore, the natural changes in the river's course have a significant impact on the city's economy. Status has crucial impact. For example, the silting of the strait around 1500. The city soon fell behind Antwerp. Milan is located in the southern part of the city. The river and the North Face Alpine Road. It was originally a city of road traffic and fireworks. The Grand Canal of Milan opened in 1272. Enhances traffic function even further. The Milan Canal that rose in the 15th century can make cargo shunshui Deer Island in the inland city of Milan. Venice realizes overseas trade. So how would you choose a location for your city? I suggest you choose a port connected to the inland river. Build a city. Maximize the role of water transportation. After the site selection is completed, we should have a general structural outline of the city. Advanced planning. The outline of the city. In fact, to a large extent, it depends on where he is. That is, the location just mentioned. They are inextricably linked. Most seaport cities are distributed along the coastline. Convenient deployment of port terminal settings. The outlines are relatively irregular, like Constantinople, Lisbon, etc. River cities generally follow, building on one or both sides of the river, like Paris, where the river flows through the city, and London heavy on the river side. Chester et al. Sometimes special terrain such as core islands. It will also become an important part of the city, become a transportation center, or the heavy lifting of the city's defenses. On this basis, the whole city will still try to be as round or compact layout planning to shorten transportation time, and inland or canal cities, due to the fact that most of them are built on flat land, less constrained by terrain, mainly concentric circle-shaped planning, for convenience from either side. The fastest way to reach the city center, Milan, for example, Bruges, etc. There are also some rather unique urban forms. For example, the water city of Venice is built almost entirely on the water. Two more cities, the twin cities of Buda and Pest, facing each other along the river. So how would you plan the outline of the city? I suggest you should set the city outline as round as possible. The river flows through the center of the city and connected to the shipping port by inland rivers. Completed the basic architecture of the city, we can estimate the population of the city. Military Tannenberg. It probably is the largest city during many periods of the Middle Ages. Statistics and research on his population. There are many different points of view. In another time and space, ancient books of the famous scholar Antoni Cadaris. At its peak in the middle of the 6th century, military Constantinople has a population of about 500,000. Floating range is 40 to 750,000. He works on the population carrying capacity of cities and the amount of food transported in the relevant literature. The available population. We can think of this as acceptable for urban planning. Population cap. Not necessarily the actual population of the city. The population of military Constantinople is, after a significant decrease in the following centuries. It reached about 400,000 in the 13th century, after the Fourth Crusade, down below 100,000 again. This period, large open spaces have appeared in Constantinople. In 1403, a Spanish court ambassador stopped at Constantinople. He expressed that the city walls are littered with ruins and vegetable gardens. This confirms this from the side. Period of decline of urban population. Examples that are more valuable to you. It was a commercial city in Italy in the late Middle Ages. Provenza. Milan et Provenza. This one depends on sheep. The city where Mao trade and banking rose. In the mid-14th century, before the outbreak of a child disease, the population reached about 125,000. Venice. Similar numbers in cities like Milan. In addition, around 1328, the population of Paris is about 250,000. London is about 80,000. Of course, these numbers are subject to certain errors. There may be differences due to different statistical methods, but I think your city's population is about 100,000. Therefore, plan the living space for these people in advance, and let the city's supplies meet their needs, is a question you must consider. If you can properly solve people's livelihood, will become a leader beloved by the citizens. Your statue will stand tall in the center of the city. Here we go. We have to consider a very strict sus problem, city defense. In this era, most cities have walls. Some also have multiple walls, like Milan. Of course, the longer the perimeter of the city wall, the higher the defense difficulty. Long line of defense. It's very difficult to put enough people on the ground, due to the limited number of guards arranged by the guide. Focus on guarding the city gates and other key points, and sent people to patrol the city walls regularly. Therefore, many cities have castles within their walls, or connect the city wall to the castle fortress. The fortress is the city's last line of defense. When invaders approach the city, when you lack defensive forces, you can also retreat to the fortress for defense. And the fortress, it can also be used as a military command post in the city. The army station, of course. These castles and fortresses. It was also the residence of city rulers, and the executive residence. From this 16th century map of the city of Milan, in the figure, we can infer that the fortress of Milan is located on the north face of the city. The Tower of London is located on the east side of the city of London, north bank of Kaiwu River. After the Norman conquest, William I municipal defense and control. Castle built in the city of London. It is both a fortified barracks castle, another magnificent palace. Many generations of English kings lived there. It also has an observatory, prison church, execution zoo, small docks and other facilities. I suggest you build the city wall at the same time. It can also be found on waterways that connect ports to cities. Build a castle fortress. It is convenient to control the transportation hub. It is also convenient to defend cities and ports. This place will also be yours, the palace in the city, and the command team. If the city main body and the port are set up separately, then the port also needs some city wall defense. This will significantly increase the cost of construction and defense. Therefore, is to build cities directly on the coastline or inland waterways connecting ports and cities. It requires careful consideration. Of course, if there is sufficient funding and construction time, then build double. Even a triple city wall is a good choice. The framework of the city is basically formed. Let's take a look at his internal makeup. Churches are iconic buildings in the city, often located in the heart of the city. So Notre Dame Cathedral, located in the center of the Seine River, Westbelt Island. Many times, they are also the commanding heights of the city. Of course, perhaps the greatest churches will cost, built over decades or even centuries. The construction of the Cologne Cathedral began in 1248, but it wasn't completed until the 16th century. The largest church in Italy, the Basilica of Our Lady of Flowers in Florence. Construction began in 1296. It was not completed until 1436, and his facades were decorated until the 16th century, failed to complete, and nature. You can also choose to install a magnificent cathedral, built in the heart of the city, the most conspicuous position, to gain the support of churches and believers. At the same time, I highly recommend that you set up a square in front of the church. This can be used as a public facility in the city. It can also make the majestic cathedral more imposing, attract more people to your city. A magnificent palace can reflect your nobility. To entertain those distinguished guests, you can choose to move the palace, set in the castle fortress. It can also be done in cities. Open up a piece of land. Rebuild. Palazzo Vecchio in Parenza. It is the administrative residence of Parenza. It is also a luxurious residence for the lords. Buckleyan Palace in Tatenberg, Yuns, located in front of the small port on the south side of the city. There are statues of bulls and lions handled there, and this palace is also composed of a combination of the words bull and lion. A palace by the water. It allows residents to enjoy the sea view. It can also facilitate daily boat transportation. It kills two birds with one stone. The next market is also in this era, one of the most important facilities in the city. Sometimes the rise of a city. It is precisely because of the prosperity of the market. Castle theory and market theory hold that. Medieval city. It was merchants who gathered around towns and castles where they built houses, thus formed every city, while being the residence of a large landowner. It was a market that the surrounding countryside relied on. If the location is advantageous, as a market, he will also become the economic center of the region. In some towns and castles, fairs may be held once or twice a week. It is convenient for the surrounding villages to communicate with each other, exchange of surplus products, but the urban markets are much more frequent. Sometimes a daily market is set up. City markets are also much larger. Transaction frequency far exceeds the former. He is innocent. Exchange upgrades to consumption. It's an urbanized way of life. The seller of a specific item. City managers pay a fee to obtain the right to use the booth. The meat and bread sellers are mostly men. Female stall owners sell eggs. Dairy products, poultry, and beer are staples. Generally speaking, markets will be built along the river. It's at the intersection of streets in the middle of the city. Each waterway or street, from the market to the city gates. This allows for easier access to the surrounding vast area. Due to the lower cost of water transportation, more markets are trending closer. River or harbor. Of course, yeah. A city may have multiple districts. Trade as a market. The position of the market can also change cyclically. Sometimes the location of the booth is directly related to the type of product. For example, horse traders are usually located near city gates to attract passing travelers. Some base drug industries, for example, Beijing generals and ordnance generals, usually located near the executive residence. Convenient supervision. Medieval cities were fortified cities. A big reason lies in the transactions of merchants. Need safety. Security against being robbed by gangs of robbers, as well as ensuring the security of transaction law and order and fairness. So there are crosses in the market, the bell tower and the statue of Roland, to symbolize the majesty and jurisdiction of the city. In order to maintain law and order in the market, many cities will have guild inspectors, regularly inspect the city. Emergence of the market. It provided the possibility for the operation of the caravan. Increase the frequency at the exhibition for trade and negotiation. The longest exhibition can last for 49 days. Brings considerable income to local lords. Due to the importance of trade fairs, King of France, personally committed to protecting merchants traveling to and from the exhibition. Therefore, please be sure to manage the market in the city with your heart. This will become the city, the greatest driver of prosperity and similar trade. The exhibition can be strongly supported. If such a grand event could be held here on a regular basis, your city will definitely become a place where you can hear from far and near. The prosperous land of fame. In addition to these core facilities, this is in the city. Many other components are also indispensable. Public baths for citizens to clean their bodies. It can be built by a guild or a church. Citizens or laborers can spend 1 or 2, the smallest coin. Take a shower once a week. Safeguarding hygiene and health. Fully functional. Convenient pier. It is an important facility in the water transportation city. The area around the marina itself. It is also well suited for development as a market. But don't. Pay attention to maintaining law and order and hygiene in the docklands. Avoid chaos and epidemics. At the same time, you should pay the commodity circulation tax, and some of the tolls were used to repair the pier, bridges and roads. Maintain the normal operation of your city. I strongly recommend that you set up hospitals in the city and college. This work can be carried out by church and city administrators. Collaborative completion. The planning of residential buildings should also have a forward-looking perspective. Otherwise, when you want to expand the city or upgrading urban infrastructure, an overcrowded residential area will be the greatest obstacle. Of course, to build a commercial city 100,000 population. These are just the basics of the basics. It's really about making things happen. When you enter the implementation phase, we can also provide relevant details for further discussion. Finally, I wish you the best of luck in building one. A great city to be proud of. See you next time.